Welcome. Welcome in to another one of my start sit shows. I'm not here alone like I was last Thursday. We will take all of your questions in the chat or in on Periscope, YouTube. We have all the questions you sent in advance, so we're going to take all of those. Yeah, not as many as Sunday morning, but we do.
That's because it's a Thursday. You can't compare Sunday morning to a Thursday. Sunday morning, everyone's like, racing around, forgetting to set them. Thursday, it's just
I can compare it if I want.
You could compare it, but you get the sense of what I'm trying to say here. Sunday's all the games. Thursday's just Giants. We do have to talk about a certain man tonight.
Today has been a great day. A really, really great day because I was apparently important enough that the 49ers athletic reporter thought that he needed to retweet me today, taking a shot at me. I was like, all right, bro. All right. You don't like I get it. You don't like the fantasy community or whatever it is, but whatever.
The fantasy community, Brandon Ayuk and Trey Sermon.
Honestly, I just feel that it's fine. You do his job.
Yeah.
I'll do mine. His job actively gets in the way of me doing mine. He doesn't help. What useful information has the 49ers beat reporters provided? All they told us is they were going to draft Mac Jones at number 3 overall. Was that right? No. Then they're like, Brandon Ayuk is going to be great. Trey Sermon's going to be a big part of the offense. Right about that? No. It's like they don't even know what. Nobody knows. The only person who knows is Kyle Shanahan, and he's not telling us. It doesn't matter how good of a job they do. Unless they became a psychic in the last hour, not really providing us anything. So, that's not on them, but that's on Kyle.
I have to ask you real quick. Is this Dante Pettis all over again? Do you think? No.
Fuck no. No.
I don't think it is, but I just had to ask the question.
I'm not worried about that. Not worried about that. All right. We had a question. Someone sent this in at 9:36 a.m. So they were over 6 hours early. They were over 6 hours early. So, we appreciate that. Okay. Hi, Tyler. Happy week 2. Is it too bold to start Rojo over Saquon this week? Also, AB or Chase? Okay. Go ahead.
I mean, first off, I think it is too bold. I mean, Ronald Jones was put in the doghouse last week after the fumble. What was it, 4 carries? It was 4 for 1, 4 for -1. I forget which kind of one it was, but I think it's too bold. Saquon, it's going to get a little bit more work than last week, but Ronald Jones, you don't know what's going to happen. I have Saquon. Where do I have Saquon? I have Saquon at 20. I feel like that's the spot for this week.
Yeah, I have him at 16. So
close enough.
Yeah, I have Rojo at 37.
Ooh, so I have him higher than you. I have him at 31, but it's still not that.
No, I'm good.
It's still not. It's higher, but it's nowhere close to Saquon's ranking.
I'm good.
So
I'm good on Rojo. Never again.
Never again after last week.
Never again. No, it is never again because we know that any week, one mistake, one missed protection, one fumble, one thing that Bruce Arians doesn't like, and then that's it. That's it. It's over. Doesn't matter how good the matchup is. If he fumbles, if he misses a protection, if he does anything wrong, he will come out of the game and he'll never return. So, when you look at it that way, how can you ever start someone like that in your fantasy lineup? I mean, how many players are there like that are supposedly relevant, but are one mistake away from an entire game benching?
Damian Harris, probably. Anyone that plays for Belichick?
Damian Harris? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Damian Harris, we'll see. I mean, his fumble was at the end of the game. It cost them the game.
Yeah, it cost him the whole game.
There was no more game after that. But Ramondre Stevenson also fumbled in that same game, and he got sent to the doghouse. But better players usually don't get sent to the doghouse. So I don't know. I'm not starting. I'm not going anywhere near Rojo. So take Saquon.
Saquon easy.
And then AB or Chase? Good question. I mean, Antonio Brown is playing against Atlanta. You saw that the Eagles carved up Atlanta last week. I have Antonio Brown at 22 and Chase at 23. So it's very close, but I would go with Antonio Brown.
See, it's funny because I have him at 20 and 21. So, like, I agree. I have AB at 20 and Chase at 21. Because we gotta think Chicago's pass defense wasn't good last week either against Stafford. Stafford carved him up too.
Oh, Chicago's defense is not good.
Exactly. So start them both if you can. I mean, if you're,
Yeah, I'd like to squeeze them both in there. Have them both inside the wide receiver 2 range. But, if you can't, you can't. Left Geo says, got home from work just in time. Yeah, I figure with this show that, I don't know. It's tough on Thursdays, really, to find a good time for people to watch it live. Doing it earlier gives people some time to watch it after or to watch part of it. So we'll see how that goes.
We have a couple of Saquon questions. Man of the night, apparently.
Yeah.
After last week.
I expect that because it's the Thursday game. All the other questions people could ask us later. Aaron with the fire emoji. We know that I love the fire emoji. Okay. Griff, I'm rolling with Rojo and SFB again. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I really hope you're really desperate because I would not do that. I don't want to put Rojo out there, man. I really don't. But I guess, given where I have him,
play.
Yeah, given where I have him ranked, it's possible that you're forced. But I really don't want to. I don't want to do that. But
no.
Possible that you have to. All right, Lefty, Gio again. Can we trust Rondo more to start? What do you think?
Ooh. Where do I have him? I think I have him high. I think about 35.
Oh, that's really high.
I think he's a flex play. What was it? He looked good in limited action. I think he could take the role from Christian Kirk. I have him ranked high.
Yeah, I have him at 55.
Woo!
So no. I mean, he played like 25% of the snaps. I mean, I think
he gets the bump. That's why I put him that high.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it. Not at wide receiver 35. I'm just looking at who I have in that range. And those are players who are actually, guaranteed volume. Rondo Moore could have Elijah Moore's game from last week very easily, a big fat 0. So, yeah, I'm swinging for the fence. Absolutely not. Is my answer. Absolutely not. You can't trust him. I want to see the snap share. I need to see the snap share. I need to see more than 30%. At 30%, I can't start him if that's what he's going to get.
To be fair, I have him over some players that are probably going to score more points than him, but if Rondo Moore hits the ceiling, I think it's higher. So
I still have Christian Kirk ranked higher this week.
I have him like 3 spots apart.
I have Christian. Well, I have Christian Kirk probably way lower too because I have Christian Kirk at 54. I'm really not looking to squeeze any of these other weapons in. I have Nuke at 2.
See, like I said, this is my first week doing rankings, and after I hit 30, like 3, I'm like, oh no.
Hard. It's hard. I learned that the first week. It is not easy to do these, but
especially we were talking about wide receiver before the show. Like it's just a mess.
Hard, yeah.
So many people to put in there.
Few weeks. He's saying a few weeks for Rondo Moore. I agree.
I can get behind that.
Trogdor. Oh, one of my biggest supporters. Welcome. Good afternoon, Tyler and Ryan. Not a lot of fantasy implications for me tonight, but looking forward to the game. Appreciate the show. I mean, as a Giants fan, I'm looking forward to the game, but I have a bad feeling I'm not going to like what happens in the game. I don't think I'm going to like what happens in tonight's game. I think it's going to be a disaster. So, yeah, I mean, there's not really today. I mean, look, in tonight's game, you're probably not starting either quarterback unless you're desperate.
No.
You're starting Gibson, McLaurin in all spots. You're never benching them.
Mm-hmm.
You're not playing. So really the decisions are, and then Logan Thomas is essentially a must start in almost all situations as well.
Agreed.
I mean, I have him at tight end. I think I ranked him tight end 7 this week. So you're probably not benching him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you're not playing anyone else on Washington. and you're on the Giants. The Giants, really the only decisions are Saquon, Golladay, or Shepard. Is depending on those will be the people I feel like we talk about, Saquon, Golladay, and Shepard for tonight. And Washington is really easy to handle, and you're just not playing either quarterback.
I am interested to see Dimey Brown tonight, but I'm not starting him in any formats. I'm interested to see what he could do, though.
The Giants, it's not like the Giants are a great matchup.
No.
The Giants are a strong secondary. It's actually the one thing about the Giants defense that's actually pretty good. I have Dimey Brown at 67.
Well, I'm not saying start him. I'm just saying I'm interested to watch him play and see what he can do.
I ranked him. I didn't even rank Dimey Brown last week, but I ranked him this week, but I wouldn't probably not starting him. Let's see. Griff, where would you rank TJ Hawkinson in PPR non-premium, so regular, among your running backs and wide receivers as a flex play? Okay. So where do you have TJ Hawkinson ranked for this week among tight ends?
Tight ends, I have him at 4.
And so do I. I feel like everyone is going to have him there. Everyone's going to have Kelsey 1, Waller 2, Kittle 3, and Hawk 4. I feel like that's a pretty easy rank this week after what happened last week. So with Hawk at 4 there against the Packers, which is, last week was a good matchup. But without premium among wide receivers and running backs, it's not that high. Looking at wide receivers, guys like Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen, I definitely would start over him. Deontay Johnson, Robert Woods, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, and Antonio Brown, I'm probably still starting over him.
I agree.
It's probably around wide receiver 24 or so, more or less. I usually never have to make this decision though, because typically TJ Hawkinson is your tight end 1. But then among running backs, Miles Sanders at 18. I'd rather start Miles Sanders. If Damian Harris at 19 and Darrell Henderson at 20, that's starting to get to about Melvin Gordon at 21.
I have him there too.
Gaskin at 22. Chase Edmonds at 23. I'd probably rather have Hawkinson than Edmonds. So around 21. Low end 2 for both, I would say. More or less. Trogdor. Shepard isn't quite making the flex cut this week for me. I'm one of those people. I still have Golladay was not on the injury report. So I think week 1 was just rust. I'm one of those people that's stuck to the original rankings of having Golladay ranked higher. I have Golladay at 39 and Shepard at 52. I don't know. Washington is not a good matchup at all. So
no.
And I don't really want to start Golladay either, but I'm not starting Shepard. If Shepard comes out this week and it's like week 1 and he's, more the guy, I'm going to start revisiting that more. But with Golladay injured most of camp, I still expect Golladay to come out and lead the team in targets this week, especially with Saquon limited. They have to get Golladay involved. He's their big free agent signing. If they can't get him involved this week, I'm going to be like, why didn't they get him involved? So we'll see. I understand in the week 1 game plan, he really wasn't a part of practice the whole training camp. So, but I hope this week they need to get him involved. If they don't, I'm going to start to worry. But I don't want to start Golladay anyway.
No, especially tonight. No. Wait for better.
Can we please get Justin Fields to start? Any word back from Nagy? Well, if you saw my video, I actually called Nagy, and he told me that Justin Fields would start week 2. So, I called him. I made sure to spend a lot of extra time on the phone. And I think I was very persuasive in getting a lot of information about this topic. And I definitely believe that he will start Justin Fields week 2.
I hope so.
He better. Otherwise, they need to fire him.
I just had this discussion on a previous pod, and I think they're just keeping in Andy Dalton because it saved his job. A little bit. Gives him a longer leash.
I get it, but it's stupid. All right, now that Dallas won't have to throw the ball on just about every play, what can we expect from the receivers there, from Justin? Why won't they have to throw the ball on every play? They just lost DeMarcus Lawrence. right? So their defense is going to be even worse. Why? Just because they lost Michael Gallup means that they're not going to throw the ball? I totally disagree. I think they're going to throw the ball more. Without DeMarcus Lawrence, they're really going to struggle. The defense was shredded last time. It's not going to get better. Losing more players is not, that's the last thing they could afford, to lose more players. So I don't think it's going to get better. So I expect, at this point, I expect to rank Cooper and Lamb as low-end wide receiver ones each week.
Yep.
For this week, I have, let's go to that. So this week against Chargers, which is solid matchup, I have Cooper at 10 and Lamb at 12.
Oh, that's weird. I have them in the exact same spots. I have Lockett in between them.
I have Lockett lower, but I have Allen Robinson in between them. But yeah, I have them both as wide receiver ones. So I'm expecting big things. I have Dak at, I must have Dak pretty high. Dak at 7. I have Dak at 7. So actually not
6.
Could be a little bit higher, but I have him at 7 for now.
I feel like it's fair.
And then I think the really interesting thing to watch with Dallas is, do they go to a majority 12 personnel now that they can plan for not having Gallup? When an injury happens in the middle of a game, you don't change your offense in the middle of the game. So going into the game, they were going to run essentially exclusive 11, more or less, with Cooper, Lamb, and Gallup, and then split time between Jarwin and Schultz, and then split time in the backfield, mostly Zeke with a little bit of Pollard. Now they have, Gallup is gone. They know that going into this week. So Cedric Wilson is their wide receiver 3. But I think we agree, and you agree with me on this, I would think, that Jarwin, Schultz, and Pollard are all more valuable to the offense, better players than Cedric Wilson.
Oh,
so
200%.
So, they're going to, Cooper, Lamb, and Zeke are mostly every down players. And then I think that you're going to see some 12 with Jarwin and Schultz out there. You're going to see 12. And you're going to see a little bit of 21 with Pollard out there with one of the 2 tight ends. They did that somewhat last game, but I think you're going to see even more of that. So I have no interest in Cedric Wilson at all. I didn't even rank him. He's someone I'm like watching, but I literally think he could give you a 0. What I am interested in is potentially as a desperation streamer, either Dalton Schultz or Jarwin. More likely, I have Schultz ranked ahead at tight end 22, Jarwin at tight end 24. So in a tight end premium or in a desperation situation, I would be interested in them, but I want to see which one of the two of them. Schultz was the leader last time, but I want to see, like, now if they play a majority 12, you could see Schultz 90% snaps, Jarwin like 55 or 60. And in that case, then I would like Schultz as a low-end tight end 1 going forward. But I want to see it before I trust it completely.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I have Schultz at 20 and Jarwin at 22. So I'm basically in the same mindset as
almost
you right
exactly the same. 2 spots apart. You're just a little bit higher. But yeah, so there's that. If Cedric Wilson comes out and gets like 80% snaps, then he'll be someone we talk about on the waiver wire next week. But for now, I'm really just not interested. Play Barkley from Jesse. Play Barkley tonight or Javonte Williams at the Jaguars. I mean, I would play Barkley.
I agree.
I get it. I get it. I get it.
It's one of those tough ones.
I get it because I know what's going to happen. If Barkley doesn't have a good game, everyone's going to say, oh, well, it was so obvious. You should have seen it coming. The matchup was bad. He's injured. But, what if he has a big game, then the people who are like big Saquon truthers are going to be like, Saquon is so talented. You never should have benched him. You always play your stud player. So you're going to hear it from one side or another. For me, I'm kind of in the middle. I think my ranking of 16 is a little on the high side compared to the industry, but it's not that high. I think Fantasy Pros ECR was around 18 or 19. So I'm a touch higher, but not much higher. I backed off what I had last week. Last week, I had him at 11 or 12. So I'm lower this week.
It's going to be messy no matter what tonight. after tonight's
I
game.
worry about Javonte Williams, though, because Melvin Gordon looked good. Like the idea that Melvin Gordon is just going to be pushed to the side is unlikely, even in the most positive game script. I'd like to start both players, but I'd just rather go with Barkley. It's just hard. It's so hard to bench Barkley.
You drafted him to start him.
I know. I just know that he didn't look bad. He didn't look himself, but he didn't look bad. He still looked good. So I'm hoping that he turns it around. If he comes out tonight and he looks like shit, I'm still not going to panic, but I want to see a little bit more. Even if it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, I want to see more. But for now, Barkley. But there are options I would start over Barkley. If you have a stacked team, you may have better options, but not Javonte Williams is not one of them. But we will talk about him because he's someone I do want to start, but not over Barkley. As I hope so for something about Dallas, I think. This is Spence, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you starting Ayuk or Sermon if you have to? Okay. Let's talk about that. So we know what happened last week. I don't think we need to relive it. We talked about it. If people don't know, Ryan and I did a Sunday night show where we talked about all of this. We talked about the 49ers. We talked about the whole situation. We talked about how crazy it all was.
Nuts.
It was nuts.
Couldn't believe it.
Now, of these two, who are you more likely to go back to this week?
Wow, that's a tough one. I would choose neither if I could choose, but I think it might have to be Sermon. Just because.
Well, where do you rank Sermon?
I rank Sermon as RB 37. I think he's going to get a decent bit of carries.
I have him at 38. So we're almost in lockstep on Sermon.
I don't think Brandon Ayuk's going to come out there and get the snaps because Trent Sherfield's ahead of him. I feel more confident that Sermon's going to get the bump because of injury than Ayuk is just because.
With Sermon, I just kind of feel like we're going to know. Like if he's active, then I'm comfortable with my ranking of 38. If he's inactive, I just pull him from my rankings and then nobody starts him. So like I'm ranking him as if he's going to be active. And if he's active, 38 is a fair ranking. I mean, the matchup against Philadelphia is okay. It's not my favorite. They bottled up Mike Davis, and they're a pass funnel defense anyway. I mean, last year you couldn't run on them, but you could pass all over them. So Sermon is not my favorite start. And 38, I mean, there's a couple guys behind him that if other things happen during the week, I could even move above him. I don't want to, I cannot imagine, usually you don't go to running back fours in starting situations. So I can't imagine any situation where I'm going to start Sermon. He's not someone I'm going to look at. What about Ayuk?
I was going to ask if Sermon's inactive again. Is he done in Dynasty for you?
And I wouldn't say
injury
done because Rojo was inactive multiple times in his rookie season. And okay, Rojo didn't have the best career of all time, but if you had just sold him for a 4th round pick at that stage, you would have lost out on multiple usable weeks throughout 2019 and 2020. So no, I wouldn't be just done with him, but I would be lowering him more. I mean, I'd lowered him about 30 spots after week 1, and he'd probably go down another 20. He'd probably carry similar value to me to what Rojo has now, actually, if he were inactive again.
Fair enough. Just need to ask,
Let's go back. Feels the exact same way about the Barkley and Javonte situation. Sorry, okay, Ayuk. So let's go to Ayuk. Ayuk for me, I have it 44.
I have him at where did I stop? I have him at 48. So
even lower. So, but I'd probably rather start wide receiver 44 over running back 38 in a flex. So I'm going back to Ayuk more in that.
I just don't think he starts. I don't know. Just a gut feeling.
I think he does, but I have other concerns. Like going into the season, I ranked Ayuk at wide receiver 24 or so, and Debo at like wide receiver 38. And what if I just got that wrong? If I just got that wrong and it's reversed and Debo should have been 24, then, well, I mean, Ayuk is going to be a borderline wide receiver 3 at best. And, with the extra uncertainty this week, I don't believe anything Kyle Shanahan says. So there's nothing he can say that's going to change my mind. I need to see Ayuk get the snap count. That's what I want to see, is him get like 70+% of snaps this week. I'm just unwilling to risk it over more proven options. I'd rather start, Corey Davis, even in a bad matchup against New England, or Jacoby Myers in a strong matchup against the Jets. Going with Ayuk, I just feel like you're risking a 0. So I'd like to not go back to him. But I do think Ayuk is going to succeed eventually. I think he's recovering from an injury. I think that's what's going on, in my opinion, not based on what Kyle Shanahan says. I said, you remember I said this in the group chat. I said, based on the timing of his hamstring injury, there is 0 chance he will be 100% healthy for week 1. There's 0 chance he will not be. And maybe he wasn't. And maybe it's going to take a couple of weeks for him to feel fully healthy. So I'm not just giving up on Brandon Ayuk in Dynasty or redraft or anything, but I don't want to start him this week. I want to see him do what I want to see for a week, and then maybe I'll consider going back to him. I feel like you feel the same way, but more strongly because you have him 4 spots lower.
Yeah, just, I can't trust Kyle Shanahan. You said it there. It's all I have to say. You can't trust this man. Nothing he says.
It's more the injury here. I
know, but you still can't trust him.
But the hamstring is not healthy, and Kyle Shanahan's not going to give us a straight answer. So it's partially not trusting him, but we know there's a hamstring injury. So clearly that hamstring injury is a problem. So let's see when that goes away. Okay. Jesse, Logan Thomas tonight or Gronk? Will Tampa Bay, so Gronk against Atlanta, or Logan Thomas tonight against the Giants? Will Tampa Bay throw 50 times against horrid Atlanta? Gronk is a tight end monster. Heineke seems to like Thomas. I would go with Thomas. I mean, Thomas to me. It's got to be.
I just have Gronk. I feel like the old Gronk's back from 27, whatever year it was. I don't remember.
I'm not buying it. I have Gronk at 13 and Thomas at 7. I'm not buying it.
I have him close, but I have Gronk above him.
The matchup is strong against the Giants for a tight end. The Giants get ripped. The Giants can't cover any tight end. I mean, Noah Fant had a very strong game last week against them. They're good at covering the receiver. But as a Giants fan, covering the tight end, no, not so good. So
I'm just in on the old Gronk being back.
But also against Atlanta, I mean, Dallas Goedert had that one big touchdown catch, but it wasn't really. I mean, the tight ends didn't really rip them apart. A lot of it was actually the running game. And Logan Thomas, 100% of snaps, all snaps. He played every single offensive snap. So for me, I think Heineke is going to lock in on him. He does like Thomas. So I would go with Logan Thomas relatively easily. To me, Logan Thomas is a must start this week. Gronk, he's the 4th weapon in that passing game at best. I mean, we know that, whatever it is, Godwin, Evans, and Brown are all ahead of him. And I expect Evans to do a little bit better than he did this last week. I'm still selling Evans. Evans' price has always been way too high. But I mean, I have Evans let's look at my rankings for the Buccaneers wide receivers, and then it'll explain why I have Gronk all the way down at 13. Because I have Godwin at wide receiver 13, Evans at 21, and Brown at 22. So I have 3 receivers inside wide receiver 2 territory. It's difficult to then also have Gronk higher than Thomas at tight end 7, which is where I have Thomas. So yeah, I'm going to go with Logan Thomas.
I think it's just me thinking the old Gronk is back, and that's why I ranked him as high as I did. He looked like he cared Thursday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
they're both must starts the tight end position. If you have
Mike Evans not care.
No, it's just that how low do I have Mike Evans? I don't even remember where I put him, to be quite honest with you.
I also don't. So I don't think this game is going to be that competitive.
Fair enough.
So I worry that we're going to see a little bit more of the running game. That's why I have Fournette pretty high. Because I'm just done. I mean, we forget very quickly. We forget that Fournette started week 1. People don't want to talk about that. Fournette took the first snap of week 1 when they said Rojo was supposed to start. Who started the game? Was it Rojo? I don't think so. Fournette took the first snap. So that was before. So I don't buy anything Bruce Arians is saying. I like Fournette this week as an additional option. If they boat race them.
Which after what the Eagles did to him, it's very possible.
Oh God. Atlanta, honestly, other than Houston, actually somehow looked half decent. Houston just has some other issues, but I think Atlanta might be one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, they looked worse than the Lions. They look worse than Houston. I mean, they look worse than the Jets, Jaguars. I mean, Atlanta was other than the Packers, nothing positive to say about the Packers' performance. Atlanta, I think, was the worst team in week 1, and I expect that to proceed going forward. I am so done with these Atlanta options. All right, another question from Justin. Then we have to try to get to the questions in advance. I will try to get there. I'd really like Carr to pass the ball to Bryan Edwards for the last 5 minutes of the game this week. Yes, I would love that. I would love that. I would love for him to do that, and I think he will.
Go ahead. Last 40 seconds. Wasn't last 5 minutes. It was last 40 seconds.
Here's the thing. I've made the switch in my rankings weekly and Dynasty of Bryan Edwards ahead of Henry Ruggs. I think that's pretty clear that, I'm tired of the draft capital, but Edwards is just better player. He, produced more than Ruggs this week, but this week is just not, it's against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was very successful against Josh Allen in week 1, so I'm not going anywhere near. I have Bryan Edwards at wide receiver 58.
Yeah.
So I can't start him, but I like him long term. And then Griff is like Atlanta. I don't want to. Atlanta literally is just done.
I'm sorry.
They need to move on from Matt Ryan immediately.
They can't.
Matt Ryan. I'm aware of the $40 million cap hit, but Matt Ryan is cooked. Matt Ryan's done. He should retire. He should retire while people still remember that he was a good quarterback, because he's actually never been a good quarterback without Julio Jones. Never. He was not good before Julio Jones was drafted. He's not been good every time Julio misses a game. And now I think he's going to be exposed. And I think that after this year, Atlanta is going to be in tears, stuck with $40 million of a shell of a quarterback for 2022, 37-year-old shell of a quarterback. So they're completely screwed. They're the franchise, I think, that's in the worst shape of any franchise in the league. Luckily, Kyle Pitts is only 20. So I don't care about him of this in Dynasty, because if it takes him 3 years to work it out, he'll be a 23-year-old superstar tight end with 7 years of value left to go. So I'm good. All right, let's get to some of the in-advance questions. From Andrew Hall, one of our friends. Herbert or Stafford in one QB league? Went Herbert last week, should have gone Stafford. It's okay, everyone went Herbert last week. So let's all right, give your take, because these guys are close.
I have Herbert just above, because I like the matchup a little bit more. Stafford cooked last week. Herbert had a tough matchup as well against the football team, but I have Herbert at 9 and Stafford at 12. So
yeah, no, I have Herbert at 8 now with no DeMarcus Lawrence. I'm very interested in Herbert this week. Stafford, I like the matchup actually against the Colts, but it is on the road. Herbert's at home against Dallas. High-powered offense, terrible defense against him. So yeah, Herbert at 8. Stafford I like, but I have him at 11. We're very similar, and we both agree.
Mm-hmm.
We agree. All right, let's roll on to Ed's question. Daniel Jones versus Washington football team, or Jimmy G versus Eagles, Scott Fishbowl 11 scoring. So for anyone who doesn't know, the Scott Fishbowl has a bonus for passing completion rate. You get I don't know the exact rules and how it affects versus other things, but you get penalized for a low completion rate. You get penalized extra for turnovers. So low completion rate, turnovers, and sacks. So you get penalized for those things. Turnover rate, completion, and sacks. Daniel Jones is going to score you negative points this week. I would rather start another position entirely than go to Daniel Jones. No chance. He could give you, it's possible in Scott Fishbowl to have like negative 20 from a quarterback.
Oh, we've seen it.
And you would agree that I think that even with a super flex spot, you would just not start Daniel Jones.
I'm avoiding Daniel Jones at all costs.
No, I think I would project him for negative in Scott Fishbowl. So he's a hard no. Jimmy G versus the Eagles would be my choice.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's a decent matchup. The Eagles were good last week against Atlanta, but I don't know if I see that going forward. I don't have specific rankings for SFB scoring, but I'm just my regular quarterback rankings. I have Jimmy G at 21.
I agree. Jimmy G, He's not going to score you negative, most likely.
Well, Daniel Jones is just not an option.
No.
He's literally going to score you negative.
It's going to be messy for Daniel Jones tonight.
Oh, no. This is even in regular scoring where I don't penalize for any of that. I have Daniel Jones at quarterback 29.
I would agree on that one.
Yeah, so there's just no chance I'm going anywhere near him. Okay. This question was answered for us from Andrew. Brian Edwards or Tyrell Williams in PPR, same league as last week. Tyrell Williams has a concussion. He's going to miss this week's game.
Yep.
So you can eliminate Tyrell Williams from your rankings. I don't know what that does to... I bumped Amon-Ra St. Brown up a little bit. Khalif Raymond played as the starter opposite Tyrell Williams at the beginning in 2 wide receiver sets, but there's just no way I'm starting him. Trinity Benson was also involved. Quintez Cephas was involved a little bit. But I'm not starting any of those guys. Even Amon-Ra, I have outside of wide receiver 5 territory. So there's no way.
It's not Hawk, not Swift. I'm out.
Exactly. And Jamal Williams is the third option there.
Oh, true.
So, yeah. So Brian Edwards here for sure, or Tyrell Williams, who's not going to play. All right, Ed again. Jalen Hurts versus the 49ers or Joe Burrow at Chicago? Go for it.
Ooh.
Go first.
You're gonna think this is like a fan take with how high I put Jalen Hurts this week. I put him as QB4.
Oh, okay.
I love the matchup. We saw what Jared Goff just did to the 49ers last week. Jalen Hurts is proficient as a passer. A lot of that was in
garbage time. When 49ers were playing their starters, Jared Goff sucked.
Fair enough, but Hurts dominated Atlanta last week. I didn't watch most of the
answer though. I don't think this is that close.
No.
I mean, I have Hurts at 10 and Burrow at 13. But to me, Hurts is kind of at 10 is like the end of a tier. And then Stafford at 11 is the next start of the next tier down. And Burrow is in that next tier down with Stafford, Tannehill, Burrow, Winston, like those kind of people. So Chicago is a decent matchup, but they were shredded on the ground, right, by Darrell Henderson. And I don't think that Burrow, as of this time, is as good of a quarterback as Matthew Stafford. So I like Burrow in this matchup, but not as much as Hurts with his rushing upside.
I'm just all in on Hurts now. I saw enough last week. I know the defense was horrid from Atlanta, but he showed enough as a passer. I like the Sirianni system enough to put Hurts
just a lot. So there's a lot of good quarterback matchups this week. Tom Brady's playing Atlanta, Russell Wilson against Tennessee, Dak against the Chargers, Herbert against Dallas. So I like Hurts. It's not really a mark against him. There's just 10 quarterbacks I really want to start this week, and he's number 10. So to me, it's a clear top 10. Aaron Rodgers is the one I didn't mention in there, who I have at 9.
See, I just didn't want to seem like a fan. Like I kind of feel like a fan when I put him that high.
It's all good. But this isn't close anyway. So it hurts. We have another comment. Oh,
go Birds. Go Birds. There we go.
Well, I don't think so.
Love to see it, Justin. Love to see it.
My guys. Oh, Matt's going to be on this show on Sunday.
Oh, must tune in.
Matt will actually yell over me. So, that's something that happens. Ed, Woods versus the Colts or Antonio Brown versus the Falcons? Go for it.
Ooh. Man, we talked about that matchup with AB. I think I'm going to go back to it. He looked good. He looked like the 2 over Mike Evans. And I think he
wasn't in terms of the snaps.
I know, but the targets, and of course we have the data to go off last year. Robert Woods is good. I know there's a little bit cause of concern because he looked Cooper Kupp's way more, but I'm not concerned. It's just Antonio Brown I think is going to do better this week. That's it. I'm not concerned about Robert Woods. I'm
going to go back to Robert Woods for one more week. Robert Woods fantasy pros ECR is very low. It's like in 26, and I just disagree. I disagree. I mean, I think that Robert Woods is one of the safest, most reliable wide receivers out there. I think that this matchup against the Colts is beatable. I think he can win this matchup. You saw the Rams offense was excellent in week 1. Stafford looked excellent. And, I do have Kupp higher. I've reacted to that. I have Kupp at 16 and Woods at 19. But I think it's kind of crazy that most people have Kupp. I think it's Kupp at 14 and Woods at 26 is the ECR. I just think that that's reading into one game. That's too much of a spread for me. So I have Brown at 22. I mean, these are both starts for me. I'd like to squeeze both of these guys in there. But I just think that the Rams are more of a funnel to Kupp and Woods, and The Bucks do have 3 receivers, so it's possible Brown could be the one out in the cold this week. I just think Woods is safer, and Woods has all the upside in the world. I mean, if Woods puts up the line that Kupp did last week, would anyone be surprised? No. So I do think it's going to be a little bit of an alternating thing on the Rams, and I just want the volume of Woods. I think the volume of Woods is safer, even if it wasn't there last week.
I'm just in on AB with the whole,
Well, I'm in on AB too. I have him at 22.
Oh yeah, it's not like you're out on AB, but I just prefer him because
I feel like in most formats you should be having both of these in there.
Oh, no questions. I'm not.
Yeah, these are players that I would like to start both.
Oh, 200%.
But I'm the one going against DCR and consensus this week in saying Woods. Most people would say Brown.
I'm just high in AB.
Just so the people know that I'm going against the consensus there. Okay, McLaren, Malcolm, KJ Hamler or Tim Patrick is a good question.
This is fantastic.
We know that Jerry Jeudy had a high ankle sprain. He will miss 4 to 6 weeks. I would wager on it being 6 at a minimum. So he's not there. Courtland Sutton. What was your opinion of how Courtland Sutton looked? Is it similar to mine?
Rusty.
Not good. Mm-mm. Honestly, I said on AskDLF that I thought Courtland Sutton kind of looked like crap. So
he didn't look good.
I think it's going to take some time. He's not ready. He's going to have to be, but he's not ready. I struggled ranking Courtland Sutton this week because it's against Jacksonville.
It's a great matchup.
There, the opportunity is there as the number 1. But I can only get him up to wide receiver 28 because there was just, Okay,
that's right. I put him too. I put him at 29.
We agree on a lot. Yeah. So between these two, even before Jeudy went down, Patrick was running ahead of Hamler in snaps. He ran ahead of Hamler last year. I think it's pretty clearly Patrick. I think Patrick is going to take over Judy's role as the wide receiver 2, starting with Sutton and 2 wide receiver sets, which they use. I mean, they use Fant and Alberto sometimes in a 12 personnel look. So, and Hamler, I think, is going to now, with Jeudy gone, Patrick can play the slot, but not as well as Hamler. So I think Jeudy is really good in the slot. So Hamler was rotating to the outside. Now I think Hamler's just going to be the slot receiver. Patrick and Sutton as the outside, receivers. I really think Patrick is like a discount version of Sutton. He offers 60% of what Sutton offers, which is not.
I get on board that take. I mean, he's going to start, so. Hamler,
but clearly it's Patrick over Hamler. But where do you have these guys? I have Patrick at 46 and Hamler at 59.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I did up to 55 and I had Patrick at 49, and I don't think I got the Hamler.
I think you can start Hamler in a desperation spot at 59. It's against Jacksonville. He needs one big play, and he dropped the one big one. Big one last week. So I think in desperation, you can start Hamler. Patrick, 46, I had him wide receiver 4. I want to see it, though. I want to see a little bit more. If he comes out and he gets 10 targets and Courtland Sutton gets 2, then I may revisit this. Having Sutton at 28, Patrick at 46, I'd probably have them both as wide receiver 3s if Patrick closes that gap.
He very well could. He showed it last year.
The one I really want to start this week, we saw what Pharaoh Brown did against Jacksonville. I want to start Noah Fant this week. I want to start Fant. I have him at tight end 6.
I think I have him tight end 7. I have Mark Andrews above him.
No, I have Andrews above him, but I have Thomas below.
Okay.
Yeah, I have him above Thomas. So if you're deciding between Logan Thomas and Noah Fant, I would go with Noah Fant this week. Against Jacksonville, the matchup is pristine. Sutton's not 100%. You really can't ask for better. Bridgewater look good. Let's keep rolling it. All right. Andrew, non-PPR. T. Higgins or James Conner? Yes, we don't care what ESPN is projecting. This is T. Higgins, right? Even in non-PPR?
Easy.
I just,
no
at
concern.
That point, I don't want to start James Conner. Chase Edmonds was the lead back, and I think he deserves to be. James Conner didn't look good. He was inefficient on his touches. Surprise, surprise. It's still T. Higgins for me. I think T. Higgins could have a big game. I did rank Jamar Chase ahead, but I have them very close. I ranked Chase at 23 and Higgins at 25. So I'm fine starting both.
I'm a little higher on both. I have Chase at 20 and Higgins at 23. So
yeah, the matchup is good, but it's not as good as some of the matchups I have ahead.
That's fair. But T.
I
Higgins
have
easy.
both Evans and Brown ahead of Higgins and Chase.
I was nervous with Higgins last week for a minute with the cart coming out, but it was only an IV, so we're good.
It was fine though, yeah. But I think it's already clear that Chase is the one. So I expect them to rank them pretty close with Chase ahead until I see a reason to change that. Boyd is buried in my rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And in the non-PPR, I wouldn't even consider him. Okay, Coach Bruce. Would you sit Saquon? Okay, would you sit Saquon this week? If so, who are you playing instead? I mean, that's a good question. But, we talked about this earlier, right? I have Saquon at 16.
I have him at 20 and I'm not sitting him, so you can't do it. It's one of those things. You could, but you can't.
You know
what
I mean?
If you have a better option, but like I said,
you can, but I think in most scenarios I would put him out there anyway.
Especially in most of these redraft leagues where you spent the 12th or higher pick on him. Sometimes
I'd probably put him out there anyway.
You gotta.
You're probably not going to have better options in redraft. In Dynasty, maybe if you have the most stacked team ever, you have better options, but in most cases you won't. All right. Oh, Calvin and Hobby. I asked the co-host, so you should all follow. That's his Twitter right there.
That's facts.
Which player had their best week of the year in week 1? So not exactly a start question, but do you have a good nomination for this? Best week of the year?
Do I take the layup?
What's layup?
Elijah Mitchell? Is that the layup?
Yeah. I think that's very
that's
possible.
The easy answer. I feel like that's a cop-out answer, kind of.
I think Jameis Winston had his best week of the year. 5 touchdowns. I don't think that's what they intend.
That's a good point.
Maybe also Tyson Williams if he loses that job completely.
I think he could.
It's not looking so good for him. We haven't got any questions about him though, but Tyson Williams, Elijah Mitchell.
Tyreek Hill would be a cop-out answer. He scored 45 points.
KJ Osborne has a big week, but we're Pharaoh Brown. I mean, these are a couple of people who had
Deebo Samuel.
Wow, okay, that's a given. I would be
exactly. I'm taking the layups here.
No, that's a layup. I mean, Deebo Samuel matching that performance again, that I think is highly unlikely. But yeah, we named a few there. I think a lot. Honestly, I think Tyson Williams is really the name.
Layup.
KJ Osborne. Okay. Edmonds or Devonta? Sleeper has them separated by 0.1 in PPR from Jesse. What do you think?
Easy on Devonta. I was shown enough last week. He's the wide receiver 1 there. And I think this is a plus matchup. Like I said, I have Jalen Hurts as QB4 this week against San Fran. So I'm all in on Devonta, which is kind of funny because I was all out all off season, but one game was enough, I guess.
This is very close. I actually think that Edmonds is the last running back that I would start over Devonta Smith.
Wow.
I have Edmonds at 23, and I think he's the last one because then I get to Deontay Williams at 24, Kareem Hunt at 25, Elijah Mitchell at 26. No. But Chase Edmonds, the role is very secure. Minnesota was able to put up points last week, and the defense was putrid. I think Chase Edmonds is going to see a lot of work in this game. I am not confident. I mean, given how I've ranked Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore, and AJ Green, I'm not confident in any of the receiving weapons there. So I think that Chase Edmonds is very, very safe play this week. And in PPR, I would definitely put him in there. Devonta Smith, I mean, he had a good game, but other people had good games. It wasn't the Devonta Smith show. It was the Jalen Hurts show. He found success with Jalen Reagor. He had some success early with Quez Watkins, and there was also, some chemistry with Dallas Goedert. So I'm not confident that it's going to be funneled all to Devonta Smith in that way. So I'd rather go with Chase Edmonds. It's close, though.
That's fair.
Very close. Like I said, Chase Edmonds was the last running back I would take over Devonta Smith.
I mean, I couldn't rank Jalen Hurts that high and not choose Devonta Smith,
Well, you could though. I mean, if you think Jalen Hurts is going to do a lot with his legs and also spread out the ball a lot, you could.
I mean, I'm not sold on Quez Watkins. He got the first 3 touches of the game that didn't see the ball the rest of the game. But everyone else
I'm just not sold on Devonta Smith. I have Devonta Smith at 32. So clearly I'm not completely sold. Not yet. I'm sold on him for Dynasty, but I'm not sold on him as a week-to-week reliable option right now.
I think I have him in the high 20s.
Yeah, so we're not that far apart, but that's enough when making the difference. I think I might be higher on Edmonds too.
Right. I'm in low 20s. I'm confused my number.
I like Edmonds this week a lot.
Yeah, I'm in the low 20s. That's what I meant.
Okay, here. This is a good one. It's a good one because it's bad. How does this one sound from Lefty Geo? Chark, Golladay, or Waddle? Got to pick 2. So it's going to be Golladay versus Washington. Chark, Denver, or Waddle, Buffalo against Buffalo.
This is tough.
Not good.
No.
Not
all
good.
have tough matchups. I mean, if you're picking one to sit, you got to sit Golladay, right? Just because?
No, I don't want to put Waddle out there at all. I mean, Waddle wasn't that great week 1. Waddle wasn't that great week 1, and that Will Fuller didn't even play. So I don't want to put Waddle out there.
I'm forgetting a little bit about the Will Fuller effect.
Will Fuller's coming back. Will Fuller did miss practice today with an undisclosed injury, but I think I'm going to give Golladay one last chance and force him in there.
That's fair. I mean, Chark looked good week 1.
But it's against Denver.
I know it's a tough matchup, but
he caught 3 of 12 targets. So not.
Who's he on the targets?
Good. Is that good? I mean, I don't know how good that is.
I have to go back and watch the.
It was
footage.
not. It was. There were a lot of bad throws on those targets, but it's not great. So I can't play Waddle this week though. He didn't do that much week 1. I mean, he was okay, but like Will Fuller's coming back. I just against Buffalo, you weren't really happy with the Steelers wide receivers last week. Deontay Johnson bailed you out with a touchdown, right? But Claypool, not so great. Juju, just okay. I don't want to do it. And Tua did not look good in week 1 at all. So I think I need to see how the offense with Fuller looks. I don't want to play Waddle this week.
I just think it's tough to choose any of those 3, to be quite honest with you.
These are very unappealing options, all of them. And the fact that you have to play 2 of them is not good. It's not good.
Less than ideal.
If this is Dynasty, I would suggest either you're not competing and you need to blow this team up and get Golladay and Chark off of it, or you need to, if you have great running backs and a receiver problem, I need to suggest trading for receivers because you're not going to win if you have to start these guys. This is just not this year. So, think about that if you're in a Dynasty format with this, because this is not going to work. Okay. From @SpeakTheTruthR, half PPR, pick 2. McLaurin, Chase, Mike Williams. This is really easy.
It's the first 2.
You're never, ever, ever benching Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is an alpha. You don't bench alphas. I have Terry McLaurin despite the Taylor Heineke, despite the Giants, James Bradbury. The matchup is bad. I have Terry McLaurin at 14. So you're never benching him. I have Chase. We talked about at 23. Mike Williams, the matchup is strong against Dallas, but I only have him at 33. I don't fully trust him yet.
Yeah, I have him at 30. So
yeah, I don't fully trust him.
I don't trust him. I
don't trust him.
If McLaurin, he didn't get the targets he wanted last week, but it was week 1.
I'm not worried.
Roll with the talent.
We all saw that catch. We all saw that catch on the sideline. And that was with Taylor Heineke, right? That was after Fitzpatrick left.
I believe so.
So keep that in mind. Okay, this is not a start sit question at all, but it was in there. So we'll answer it. From @FF_Schmuck. If you're in a rebuild, would you hold Elijah Mitchell and hope this dynasty question and hope for an increase in value, or is it time to sell? If it is, what are you looking to get in return? It's time to sell, right? I mean, if you're in a rebuild, guys with 6th-round draft capital are not a part of my long-term plans. So I would sell. What would you take?
Ooh.
What's enough?
I don't know. What is? I feel like a second might be enough for me because I don't think you're getting a first.
Forget it. I mean, you're not getting a first.
No. So a second would probably be enough.
I'd take a second. But that could look really bad in a week. But I think,
or Trey Sermon get 20 carries this week. Like
very true. I'd take a second though.
Agree.
You can get more though. I know. How do I know?
You obviously traded them somewhere.
Well, from doing all the Patreon stuff, I know you can get more. I have helped execute a couple of Elijah Mitchell trades, and you can get more. You can't get a first, but you can get a second. You might be able to get a second and a third, a second and a fourth, a second and a flyer player. And there's the link to my Patreon.
I'd always start with those offers. If you're sending out offers, I'd start with a second and a flyer, a second and a third. And if you have to work your way down to a second, I'd still be content with taking it.
Greed is good.
Especially in fantasy football trading. Greed is good.
Very much so. All right. For me, and start one of Jacoby Myers, Javonte Williams, Robbie Anderson, or Juju PPR. Let me look. These are close. Probably go Juju.
I'd probably say Javonte, but like you said, it is close. Robbie Anderson's the one that concerns me the most out of this group.
I don't want to start Robbie Anderson. He didn't get any targets last week.
He was a number 4, wasn't he? Terrace Marshall got 6. DJ Moore definitely got more than
3. He just had the one big play. But yeah, I have Jacoby Myers at 38, Robbie Anderson at 36, Juju at 31, and Javonte Williams at RB 24. So it's really between Javonte Williams and Juju. Matchup against Vegas is strong. So just because Baltimore's passing maybe wasn't exactly what we wanted against them. I mean, it was okay, but it's Baltimore.
Yeah,
I think the Steelers passing will be good. So I'm more comfortable with Juju this week in this very strong matchup. Also, if the Raiders' offense is as good as it was last week, then Pittsburgh may be playing from behind. They may need to throw the ball. Javonte Williams, I love the matchup against Jacksonville, but he's kind of the first running back in the next group for me of I have 23 guys where I'm confident, and he's 24. He's starting the not so confident group. So I'd rather take Juju where I know there's going to be volume for Juju against Vegas. It's going to be there. Whereas Javonte Williams, if he got 8 carries and a couple receptions to Gordon's 15, that's perfectly within the range of outcomes, especially in a grind out game against Jacksonville where they just want to grind the clock. I can see a lot of Gordon in this one.
That's fair.
So I mean, I'd lean Juju, but I do like Javonte Williams as a sneaky start this week. I have him above ECR significantly. 24 versus I think 28 or 29. So he's someone I would like to start. Well, we've answered all the questions. So
wow.
Yeah. So that's it. So let's wrap the show. So tell the people where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at RyanPros_FF, or you can find me on the Fantasy Newsroom with people who are here actually in the chat, Spencer and Matt. And you can find my writing at the Dynasty Vipers. I'm starting a new series next week. I still have yet to pick it, but we're going to find something nice. Thank you for having me on, Tyler. As you know, love doing these shows. Great time. Can't wait for the game tonight. That's what I got.
I love it. So yeah, as you all know, I put my Patreon link in the chat. I put my Dynasty League football, which is where I write. I put the link to my author profile in the chat. Ed says, thank you guys. Jesse says, thanks dudes, love the content. And you can find me at DLF_carb on Twitter. It's right there on the screen. So thanks for watching. And let's enjoy football tonight. And we will be back Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern with Matt to do another round of Start Sit. Peace.